Greetings and blessings, everyone, and welcome to Lights for the Way podcast. I'm your host, James Thomas Devitt, and joining me today, of course, is Anita Davies. As I said on our last show, today we're going to be doing part 2 of Starseeds and volunteers on planet Earth. As always, we are sponsored by the Blue Star Spiritual Group, and I want to thank all of our listeners who are listening and participating, and it's really wonderful. I mean, we are brand new, so we are at the beginning of something that eventually will become very, very large. And so I appreciate all of you who are taking the time to listen to us and to take advantage of that. Please understand that if you are would like to, you can email us at lightstheway@gmail.com with any ideas that you would like for the show, anything that you'd like us to cover, any suggestions you may have or questions. We are always willing to accept whatever you have to share with us. Our last show on potentials was actually a question from a wonderful lady named Mary who wanted to know about the potentials of planet Earth at the moment. It was a rather intense little exercise and probably a one-off on my part. So let me welcome to the show someone who is also part of our little entourage here and phenomenal reader of the Akashic Records, as well as doing starseed readings. And I can assure you that her starseed readings are off the chart because unlike me, who is horrible with names, she actually finds out what your actual star name is and where you come from and what you do, and it's an amazing reading. Welcome to Anita Davies. Hello, Anita.
Good morning, James. How are you this morning?
I didn't sleep well, unfortunately, and I think the energies are just too intense at the moment, to be honest with you. There seems to be a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes, if you know what I mean.
I certainly do. I'm feeling tired myself today, which tells me that I had a restless night and possibly was off somewhere else, busy working, doing something else.
Well, I actually find that I'm off doing other things every night. I don't think that there is actually a night that goes by that I'm actually just in my body, in bed, resting and relaxing and sleeping. I don't think I have a night like that.
I sometimes get a really good night's sleep and then I'll get a run where I'm not sleeping well and I'm pretty sure I'm not around.
Yeah, I mean, we go through those, have periods of, it's like you look and it's like, well, I'm not really present, am I? And then you start doing silly things and dropping things and everything like that. And it's just, oh. So,
just a bit too much.
Oh, yeah. So now I thought that it would be a really good idea for us to do a second part to the Starseeds episode. And the reason for that is very simple. You and I talk regularly. We don't talk every day because we have a lot of different things going on and everything, but we do talk regularly. And we were talking about starseeds, and although neither one of us is saying that it's the exact number, I believe you had said that there are starseeds from approximately 70 different places in the universe. Is that not correct?
70 different star systems. Yes.
And then on top of that, there are people from other galaxies.
That's correct.
As well as, I mean, that's a lot of different beings from a lot of different places. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh, definitely. It's absolutely huge, really, when you think about the network that has been created to actually make planet Earth a success.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, it also goes to show, it also goes to show just how there are so many different beings who want to be a part of Project Earth.
Definitely. It's very vast.
And it seems to me as though having beings from that many different places, and I think this is something that a lot of people mistake, if you will. All of these different star seeds from over 70 different places in the universe, different galaxies, different star systems, all of this, they're all here for the same reason. They're all here to assist the native human population in their evolution and ascension. Would you not agree?
Correct. I do agree totally.
Now, with that having been said, though, they all have their own truths. They all have their own beliefs. They all have their own creation stories because that stems from wherever they come from. You know, their evolutionary track was unique to their planet, and their ascension was unique to their race and to their people, and so they all have their own truth and everything like that. So one of the things that I thought would be kind of good is talking about some of the different star seeds and volunteers that are here. Now, I am aware of a few, and it starts now. This is in no particular order, okay? Of course, most all of us are aware of light workers. And I'm sure that you meet a lot of light workers yourself.
I do.
Now, there's also dark workers. And I imagine you probably run into a few of these from time to time as well.
I do sometimes, yes.
Now, the thing I think a lot of people need to understand is this. For a lot of the dark workers out there, there's been such a vilification of those of darkness that for most dark workers, they actually believe consciously here that they're of the light and that they are light workers.
They do. And they genuinely believe that they are helping others, and which in fact they are helping. They are here to help us, for without dark, we cannot truly understand light and make the choice for ourselves as to which side we wish to live upon.
Well, you see, as you know, this planet is all about, Project Earth is all about the evolution and ascension of the native human population. So in order to proceed on that standpoint, you have to have those of light and darkness, because every person who is a native human has to experience the lifetimes of light and dark. You know, the really, really pious lives and the really debauched lives, and every life imaginable in between, so that when the time comes, they can make an informed decision and choice.
They can, and they eventually have a wholeness to them. They understand the concept of life in its totality, because we have to have everything in life to understand the totality of who you are, but not only that, to understand unconditional love. You cannot unconditionally love until you understand every facet of yourself and how you have got to where you are.
And that's absolutely true. And something that you said that is so spot on. How can you truly understand darkness if you don't understand light? And vice versa.
Yes,
You know,
you have to be able to.
yeah, you can't understand one side of a coin unless you understand the other side of the coin. And that's different from, well, I know this, to I understand this. It's like growing up in church. I understood God was pure unconditional love. This is what I was taught. Through my experience in 1989, I completely understand what that pure unconditional love is all about and what it is. So it's gone from a I understand intellectually to I know at a heart level, a deep level. Now, after the light workers and dark workers, we also have another group which is very, very fascinating, and they're known as the Watchers. Now, one of the interesting aspects to the Watchers is the fact that, generally speaking, they never really awaken because their focus is on observing and doing observations and basically reporting that back upstairs during their sleep time. Because one thing that I've discovered personally, and I'm sure you probably have as well, is the fact that many times our guides and stuff, and it's like they look at our energy and they go, whoa, they've got that in their energy, so I can present this to them. And so they present us with whatever it is it might be, and we don't accept it, we don't take it. And the guys are sitting there going, but their energy said that they were ready for this. So it's like, but they weren't consciously ready for it here, even though that signature is in the energy field. Now, are you fairly aware of the Watchers, Nita?
I actually know somebody who's an observer. I did a little bit of background for him. He does actually do a wee bit of healing, but he is an observer and he actually reports to the Arcturian Light Council.
To the Arcturian Light Council.
Yes. And
Cool.
he observer.
Now, like I said, people, Anita is brilliant at these starseed readings. I'm telling you. That is very cool. I mean, I've done a little bit of work with the Arcturian Light Council as far as consciously. I know that I've had more interactions with them off planet than on planet, but they are very an interesting race. That's for sure.
Very, very interesting race.
So, is this person from there?
He is Arcturian, yes. They're a very serious race. They're very dedicated.
Yes. I always got that feeling from them as well.
Mm.
Now, another type of volunteer is known as the Guardians.
Yes.
Now, the Guardians, they're a little bit different. The Guardians generally do not serve light or darkness. And it's funny because here in New Zealand, in Te Reo Māori, in the Māori world, they talk about the Taniwha. And the Taniwha are guardians, and they generally can be found in the bends of rivers and stuff. And they don't serve light and dark, and so they will do whatever they need to in order to protect whatever they are here to protect. Now, of course, some of the guardians, one of the groups of guardians that I am personally involved with is the Dragon Guardians. And the Dragon Guardians, there are actual, the last that I tuned into it, there was still about 7 actual dragons that are still in slumber on the planet. And in slumber, it's like they're not actively interacting, but they are maintaining energy around the planet to assist the planet in its moving forward. But there are other guardians as well, and these guardians do a multitude of different roles and everything. Now, are you familiar with the guardians?
I'm not familiar with the guardians in the manner of which you're speaking, but we do have other guardians here on Earth as well.
Correct.
We have Earth guardians, and I come across a lot of them. In actual fact, you do not have to be activated to be an Earth Guardian. My husband is an Earth Guardian. He has the most wonderful garden. He grows plants. He works at the local bush. He plants out. He works with a group called Keep Oxford Beautiful who plant out. And we also have Earth Angels, and they're another kind of guardian, and often they're not activated. And I often read for people because I do another kind of reading, which is a fairly quick reading, and it's a direct soul connection. So I bring in soul families, and they will often say to them, you are an earth angel. And there's always a but, because unfortunately earth angels are too giving of themselves, and they tend to spread themselves around their friends and their families and just give too much of their energies away. So those are another kind of guardian as well that we have walking the earth, and they're very important because they keep a balance of goodness on this earth for us.
Oh, definitely, definitely. And you know, there are, like you were saying, there are a variety of different kinds of guardians. Now, another kind of guardian that I wanted to mention, there is actually a group that is in service to planet Earth and has been so pretty much since the beginning. They are from the Galactic Federation. They are the Ashtar Command. They have had their speakers in the past, like Tuella. I know that with Commander Ashtar and Athena, their daughter is currently incarnated on this planet over in Australia. She is a very good friend of mine. Um, she is fully aware that I am aware of who she is, and we have talked about it many times. But the information as far as who she is here, it has been chosen and decided, at least at this time, to stay behind closed doors, as it were. They are here to ensure success of Project Earth. And so they ensure that the many different races of beings who are visiting this planet do not interfere with the project and do not interfere with this project moving forward, shall we say. And they were originally brought in because there was a group of reptilians who attempted to annex this planet. And when it was decided that they weren't going to be allowed to do that because the native human population were able to evolve, the Ashtar Command was brought in to remove them and to ensure the protection of this world. As we've been talking already, you know, there's starseeds and volunteers from over 70 different places in the universe, from different solar systems, different galaxies. As such, for many of them, there are people from their worlds who are also here.
Indeed, they are.
You know, because it's like they're not going to leave their people without any assistance from home, as it were.
No, none of us are left unassisted. We're all guided, even though a lot of the time when unaware of that guidance, we are well protected at all times, as we really need to be, and we are guided at all times.
Oh yeah, and the thing is the fact that, you know, even if you're just awakening, or you've only been awakened for a short amount of time, or even if you're someone like me who started on this conscious journey more than 30 years ago, they're there to assist us to ensure that we do what we're here to do. But they can't do for us. It's our choice. We're the ones that have to discern the information and follow the breadcrumbs. I love how you say that, Anita. It's like, gotta follow the breadcrumbs, you know, and it's like, oh my God, I'd rather follow the jelly beans, but breadcrumbs if they need to be, all right? I prefer jelly beans. I'm a jelly bean kind of guy, you know?
Well, I'll use jelly beans in future instead of breadcrumbs. But it reminds me a little of Hansel and Gretel, except we're not going to go visit somebody who's going to pop us in a pot and eat us. But that's how I feel. I get dropped these little breadcrumbs, and a certain amount of knowledge comes in, and I take in that knowledge and I learn from it and I move forward, and then another little load of breadcrumbs will come along and I'll pick those up, and that's how it is. They do it little by little, because if we get too much, it's very overwhelming.
I seriously agree with you. We are in a place now where so much is going on and happening. Now, the last type that I want to cover, and we're not going to go too much into depth on this one. There are those who are in charge of this project, in charge of Project Earth. They're the ones who had to come here in the very beginning and answer the question, can the native human population evolve? I mean, it's like if the answer had been no, then we wouldn't be here because there wouldn't have been any point to us being here. For those individuals, and there's not very many on this planet, I think there's maybe, what, 6, you think?
As far as I'm aware, I think there are 6.
Okay. I kind of think that there's more like 9.
I won't disagree because it's quite likely I'll get another little load of jelly beans come along and the information will change.
It's like, yeah, I just have a suspicion, but I know that it's not many.
No.
Now, with these individuals, they do not serve light or darkness. They generally have no ego. They there's many different attributes to these individuals. So I think the interesting aspect, though, it's like it takes the watchers, the guardians, the ones who come from, the group that is in charge of this entire project, all the light workers, the dark workers. It takes all of them to do this project. Because without all of them doing this project, it could not be successful. Would you not agree with that?
I totally agree. It's huge. I often talk to my guides and they're always busy. I often say, how's your day been? Busy.
Yeah, I channel Sananda a lot, and I have channeled Sananda for 20 years, and he has come in a lot, okay, and has spent a lot of time coming in and speaking to Janice and stuff. I've only channeled Sananda once, maybe twice publicly, but he comes in a lot for Janice, my wife. And there have been times when he hasn't been in for a while, and he'll come in and Janice will rib him and give him a hard time and everything for not being here for a while. And he's like, look, I've been in meetings and meetings and meetings. I've been very, very busy. There have been times other beings have come in and it's like she's like, that's fine. Oh well, Sananda, he's very busy at the moment. He's taking care of this, that, or the other, and so they are always busy, and there's a lot going on right now. And I guess my question to you, Anita, you've been connecting in with doing these starseed readings and everything like that. What do you feel is like probably the most important message that starseeds need to hear right now?
Oh, that's a good one.
I try and ask a good question every now and then.
Thank you. I think identity is important. I think understanding who they are and where they come from is important. I think they need to understand that there's more than just these beautiful messages that come out. I see a lot of really lovely messages come out on Facebook, and I enjoy reading them. If it's the surface, not the depth, they're not, what they're putting out is good. It's really nice. A lot of it's very pertinent, but the depth is not there. They're skimming along the surface and not really getting the point as to why they're actually here. They think they need to rush off and tell all the world about how wonderful it needs to be, or rush off and do readings to people, or rush off and do healings to people. And I'm not knocking this. This is all very good. And I do healings and I do readings myself. And it's something that I know that I'm required to do.
But
they're not following their own truths. I know somebody who just so desperately wants to be a reader or a healer, and he's not meant to be. And he's so deeply, beautifully spiritual, it's not funny. But he's not following his own truth. He's not understanding that he's doing what he should be at the moment, and he's in the right place and the right time, living the right life. And there's more depth to spirituality than just putting out beautiful music, beautiful sayings, beautiful meditations. There's just so much more to it. It's finding who you are within yourself, believing in who you are, accepting who you are, and walking the path that you're meant to walk.
Okay, now I run into this a lot where I talk to somebody and I'm like, okay, what is it that you want to do? Now I realize that that's somewhat of an open-ended question, but it's like, what is it that you want to do? And it's an important question, and it's something that we really need to consider and think about. But I get so many people who answer that question the same way. And the way they answer that question is, I want to be of service. And I'm like, okay, well, okay, I get that. I understand that. You want to be of service. Okay. Um, and, how I'm like, okay, well, you do realize that you can work in a call center and be of service. And they look at me really funny. And they're like trying to ascertain, what do you mean I can work in a call center and be of service? And they don't realize that it's not about being of service in the sense of, you're doing this or you're doing that. It's like you literally don't need to do this or that or anything else in order to be of service. All you need to do is follow your own heart and guidance, because not everyone is meant to be a healer or a reader. But the other problem is, and perhaps you've run across this as well, is this mentality that in order to be spiritual, you have to be a vegan or a vegetarian. You have to be a reader. You can't work in mainstream. All of these things. Have you run across that as well?
The rules and the regulations.
Uh-huh.
Oh, yes. Now, would you say I'm highly connected? I feel I'm highly connected. I'm very
I can assure
lucky.
you that you are very highly connected. Yes.
Okay. I don't meditate. To be honest, I don't have time to meditate. If I can, I'll sit outside on a sunny day and fall asleep. That's my meditation. I eat meat. I have the odd glass of wine. Um, I like to enjoy a good laugh. I don't think I have to be so serious that my life's all about my spirituality. I certainly revere what I have and appreciate what I have and share what I have, but I do not follow the rules and the regulations. I live my life the way I feel I should live it.
That's very telling for me, and I'll tell you why. Because you see, I feel very much the same. For myself, I eat meat as well, and I don't eat meat every meal. I don't feel the need to do that anyway. It's definitely not necessary for me. I also find that if I am, following my heart and guidance and doing the things that I need to do, that it'll take care of itself. And the thing is I realize, and I have realized in a very succinct way, the fact that, we walk a path that is very, very challenging, to say the least. And it is not easy at all. And it is actually very treacherous at times. My thinking around food is very simple. Eat what your body wants. If your body wants nothing but vegetables, eat nothing but vegetables. There's nothing wrong with that. No judgment, no criticism, no condemnation. It is what it is. If that's what your body wants, give your body that which it needs. It's very simple. If your body wants meat and needs meat, give it meat. There's so many people have placed so many rules around things. And what it is, and it's like I said earlier, this is a situation that we've run across. It's a very simple situation. This whole scenario is we have this situation where there are beings from all over the universe who are here assisting this planet in its evolution. And they all have their own truths. They all have their own beliefs and things like this. If we go through and actually think for a moment that only we have the truth, we're going to find ourselves in a lot of trouble. Don't you think?
Oh, I totally agree. Totally agree. As I read for Starseeds, every planet has its own way of living, its own, I suppose, rules they live within. They all look different, they all behave different. And so we can only expect they will come in with their own preset knowledges within their soul, because of course they are who they are, and we have to accept that there are differences and different outlooks from different beings.
And that's absolutely true, you know. And I think this is where a lot of people have failed to realize the fact that we are different in many different ways, and yet we are also the same in many different ways. But just because somebody says that, well, if you're going to be spiritual, you have to do this or that, that doesn't necessarily make that true. And the other thing that seems to annoy me a great deal, to be honest, is the fact that a lot of people think that spiritual development is to learn how to be a reader. Do you find that as well?
I do, but you tell me how you learn to be a reader. So that opens another can of worms, because I firmly believe that nobody can teach you your spiritual gifts.
Well, you know, it's interesting that you should ask me that particular question. I think that's hilarious. Okay, I will answer that question. I personally, in 19, well, what was it, 1990, I think it was, I was doing work with a lady in Tacoma, Washington, and I had started channeling in August of '89, and I was at her house in Tacoma, and her sister lived across the street, and I had never looked at any healing work or anything like that, and she comes to me and says, "Look, my sister is having an asthma attack. Whenever this has happened, we've always had to take her to the hospital. Can you go over and see if you can help her?" And I'm thinking to myself, holy crap, you know, how the hell am I supposed to help her? You know, because I've never done a healing or anything like that. But I'm like, you know me, it's like, okay, yep, sure, I'll see what I can do. So I go over and I just trust my intuition of where to place my hands and things like this. And the next thing I know, She's breathing normally. She's okay. She doesn't have to go to the hospital. Everything is fine. And so I thought, wow, that's like the most amazing thing that I've ever experienced, you know? And so I went ahead and in March of, oh, what was it now? In March of 1991, there in Tacoma, they had a Reiki workshop. And I thought, ooh, cool. I can learn a treatment because I already knew that I was a healer, but I didn't actually have a treatment that I could use. So I took Reiki to learn a treatment, a way of doing the healing. And so I did that. And then with the, because you've been to my Blue Star Healing workshop,
I have.
I when I got the information on etheric implant removals, the light language, and all of that stuff, that happened during a healing that I was going through in Northern California that I didn't even set up. Uh, my partner at the time set it up, and she goes, I booked both of us in there, and I'm like, okay. And so I just went ahead and went for whatever reason, and because she had set it up, and I'm like, yeah, all right. And then next thing I know, halfway through, she's like, oh, well, Morgan's got this helmet on her head and she needs to have it removed, but I need help removing it, which of course she didn't. And so I said, sure, no problem. And when I said, sure, no problem, I could automatically do it, the etheric implant removal, as well as I could do the universal light language. And so, to be honest with your question, I haven't done any workshops or classes to learn how to do a reading or anything like this. I developed the personal Akashic scrolls that I do. I brought through and developed the Blue Star Healing method that I teach now and do. Everything that I do, I was awakened to. I haven't been trained in doing any of it, not as far as not on this planet. So I'm going to ask you the same question.
Has anyone taught me?
Yes.
No. I came to your Blue Star workshop and you showed us a modality.
Yes.
I believe that all of us worked in a totally different way. And what it does is learning the modality brings through what's inherently there for you. So I was talking to one of the young men who came along to the class. He's a lovely young man.
I know who you're talking about.
You know who I'm talking about. And we're talking on the weekend, and I did not realize he does not visually see what he removes. He says, I just have a knowing of what it is, why it's there, and where it is, and I remove it. Whereas I actually physically see what's there and remove it. Unfortunately for me, I saw too much, and the minute one layer was removed, another one will pop up immediately, which in the end, I think you remember saying you're just going to have to move on. You're seeing too much. But what you do is you bring through what is already there, what's within you. It's waiting to come forth anyway. You would not go to that workshop unless you're ready to do this. It's
Correct.
like anything you learn, you won't go until you're ready to do it. And I don't knock people who teach people to read, because I myself go along to an amazing circle run by an amazing lady, and I have an absolute hoot. I just have a ball because I'm with like-minded people. Now, she's amazing. She brings something up different every week for us to try, and it is about trying. So she's not really teaching you, but what she's doing is giving you the opportunity to try something that might just connect with you and work really, really well for you. It might be pendulums, and it's something you love working. We've done crystal healing, we've done tessemancy, which is tea leaf reading. We've done reading from books, basically just opening a book and doing a reading from a paragraph that you find, which is just totally close your eyes, put your finger down, and it's amazing how you just find the right thing and how you interpret it. So it's not about teaching you to be spiritual, teaching you to be a reader. It's about putting in your way modalities and methods that may work with you. You may pick up tarot cards, like Janice is an amazing tarot card reader. I take one look at them and think, well, that lot's beyond me.
And I mean, for myself, it's like I rarely do tarot cards. I've never done a class in tarot or anything like that. But it's like she'll put she'll do a spread for herself, and then I'll come over and look at it and I'll read it and tell her what it means. And it's like, it's like it's just there within me. But for me, and I think my point is that a spiritual development is about learning how to walk a spiritual path, no matter what kind of work you do. I don't think it really has anything to do with becoming a reader.
No, not at all. Or a healer.
Or a healer. And the thing is that I do understand how, people want to be able to do that kind of work with people. And the thing is, and the real paradox, if you will, is the fact that on one level, it is true that everyone has the ability to be a reader or a healer or whatever. That's true. However, at the same time, it's not true. And the reason it's not true is because not everyone comes here is supposed to be a reader or a healer or something like that. And I think that's where the crux of the situation resides. Because I hear so much, oh, well, anybody can do this. And you think to yourself, okay, so if everybody can do this, why do we need people out there who are doing readings and healings and things like this?
That opens up another one, because you're correct. In one way, everybody can do it, and everyone does do it. They just don't understand that they're using their intuition. They're getting them synchronicities. They follow them without realizing it. Even my husband recently said to someone, I follow my gut instinct and it's never seen me wrong. And I said to him, you think you're not psychic?
True. But at the same time, though, a lot of people have this mentality because they've been told this over and over again. To be spiritual, you can't work in the mainstream.
Well, there'll be a lot of poverty-stricken people around then.
There is. I've actually met many, many people who are struggling and who have struggled to move forward in their life and things like this because, they avoid working in the mainstream because they think that if they do that, they're not being spiritual. I've seen this over and over again, not only in Australia, but in New Zealand, in America. I've seen it all over the place.
Well, unfortunately, the Earth hasn't progressed that far yet.
No. And I did a show on potentials. And on that, I did state uncategorically that I do believe that eventually we will get to a point where money will go away because we don't really need money anymore. And we don't need a lot of things anymore because we actually have the technology. It just needs to be released and brought out so that people can finally access it. I mean, imagine, if you will, what can you imagine that we have with knowing that something as simple as Bluetooth, right? Something as simple as Bluetooth was around for over 20 years before it was released to the public.
Yes, well, they have their reasons, don't they? And it's usually money-based.
Exactly. But eventually someone is going to say, you know what? I've had enough. and it's going to get released to the public, and there's not going to be anything anybody's going to be able to do to stop it, and it'll be out in the public domain, and it'll be like, well, have a nice day, because everything's going to change now.
And it does happen slowly. It's all just a little bit, takes time.
It does. It does. So one of the things, that we've been discussing today is the many variations of starseed and light workers and dark workers and volunteers that are on this planet. And I think it's so vitally important what you said, in the sense that there are so many, and they all come from different places. They all have their own truths, their own beliefs. And this is true, and it is a situation where, people need to understand that, what works for one person may not work for everybody. And just because it doesn't work for everybody doesn't make it wrong for for the person or for the people that it does work for. You know what I mean?
I totally agree with you. It's live and let live, really. We have to, it's one of the things of evolution we have to learn to accept everything for what it is and who they are. And acceptance is still a lesson that has to be very much learned on this planet at the moment.
And you're right. It does need to be learned on this planet very desperately bad, because at the end of the day, we are in a situation now where we need to get to a point where we understand the fact that, we are all here for the same reason, which is the evolution of the human population and the ascension of the human population. Now, before we finish the show, and I was thinking about this morning, and I really wanted to bring this up at the very last moment, so that those people who have stayed throughout the show will get something quite interesting to chew on. For many of the starseeds and volunteers, a lot of their focus is on the ascension, which kind of confuses me a little bit, because, well, the starseeds and volunteers have already ascended, and they've already evolved on their own worlds. Because in order to be a starseed or a volunteer for Project Earth, you have to come from a place that's at least in the fifth dimension. Would you not agree?
Totally, yes.
So here's the deal. We were talking the other day, Anita and I was, and we've come up with the fact that more than likely the greatest potential right now in this moment is that currently the ascension into the fifth dimension will happen, you've heard it here first, in approximately 4,000 years.
That's correct.
I just thought I would mention that.
Thank you. They've got a wee way to go. It's not going to happen tomorrow. Those who are what the light workers consider ascending, they are certainly ascending. They're ascending back to where they belong. There are many who have worked here for thousands of years, and they have put in a lot of the groundwork before we've came along. These are the well-known psychic mediums who have put in a lot of hard work and behind the scenes, because, by goodness, a lot of them have been vilified as well. And they've done the groundwork. There's been some very amazing psychic mediums around who have brought through an awful lot. They've gone home. They've done their job. They were already ascended. They didn't need to ascend. They've just returned to where they came from.
And I agree with that completely, and so it is, you need to understand and realize that you are on the right track. You really are. It's now a matter of allowing yourself the freedom to do what you are here to do. And what you are here to do is to take things to a whole, a different level, and a new way of thinking and a new way of being. And so we really hope that you've enjoyed the show today. Anita, as always, I love doing this show with you. I think of it is so much fun.
And I enjoy it as well. Thank you, James.
So we will be back very, very soon with another show. And just enjoy yourself, and take look after yourselves and take care of yourselves. This is vitally important.
And have a lovely day. Enjoy your day.
So we will talk to you later. Bye-bye.